All right. So here's welcoming everybody who is here. Thank you for being here. As we begin the adult 7 p.m. English class of this Bhagavad Gita, understanding the Gita in 18 days, comes from ISKCON Mangalore, Sri Sri Radha Govinda Temple. And let's pay our respectful obeisance with the beautiful deities of Sri Sri Radha Govinda Temple. And continue our journey into the 6th chapter, which is the last of the Karma Yoga chapters. After this, we will be moving from tomorrow into the 6 Bhakti Yoga chapters. Let's begin with the prayer. Om Ajnana Timran Dasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmeelitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Paying my respectful obeisances to the founder Acharya of ISKCON, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, his disciple, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj, his disciple, the Temple President, His Grace Namnishtha Das Prabhu, and also to my Guru Aishwarya Mataji, as well as Rasaparayana Devi Dasi Mataji, and many others like Dr. Ravi Prabhu and so many others. From the ISKCON Mangalore. I have attended several classes. I thank them all and take their blessings and wish to take their blessings. So this is the chapter called Dhyana Yoga. It's chapter 6, the last chapter of the Karma Yoga chapters. It predominantly, the first 6 chapters mainly talk about the Karma Yoga, but it also covers the Dhyana Yoga, the Sankhya Yoga, and also, the Bhakti Yoga is anyway perpetrating the whole of the Bhagavad Gita. It's there throughout. The key learnings that we will be talking about today are how to control the mind. So chapter 6 is very important. Some of the verses are especially useful for children to understand who want to develop their focus and control their mind. And what happens is one is unable to attain perfection. So Arjuna gets this doubt that, I'm neither into spiritual world nor into material. I've given up all my material, my desire for material success, and I'm not even attaining spiritual success. So what happens? So Krishna answers that very beautifully. And finally, we come to know which is the best yoga process, which most of you would already know the answer to. So what is yoga? Here we can see in this picture, we can see the chakras, right? The 6 chakras through which you can move up upwards. And we can also see how this person in the Himalayas is practicing very severe austerities. Is that yoga? If you think of yoga, the Western world mostly thinks of the Indians who are, doing all these gymnastics. And, here you can see a person is trying to collect money by doing all the, display the siddhis that he may have attained. In the Western world, they adopt yoga and they just only talk about asanas. They are not understanding, the true meaning of it. Is this yoga? Is just doing different asanas equal to yoga? They even have, all these names like the deer yoga or the goat yoga. And they have created, office yoga. So in between, early in the morning or in between the sessions, just to relax and just to, the stress bus. It's so stressful in the office. There's so much of work pressure, and, it's nice when the employees, they get a little break and they are all made to do yoga. Then the productivity increases. And so the material, the material gain increases. So is that yoga? There are so many books, the chair yoga for pregnancy, and there are infinite types of yoga which has come up because the side effects of the real yoga are many. People can, get so many gains when they do yoga. They're all the side effects, but the main purpose of yoga is not understood. So many types of yoga, but no one is talking about Krishna. Yoga is actually being united in thoughts and emotions with the Lord. You can see in this picture, you can see Mirabai. She is actually the one who is doing truly the yoga as per the definition in the scriptures. She is constantly united with the Lord by mind. All the time, her thoughts are with Krishna all the time. And so she is, an exemplar of what yoga truly means, and not all those different asanas and, for material gains or to make yourself more productive or to get a better figure. Those are all just side effects of doing your yoga. The true yoga is being in communion with the Lord all the time. It means union with the Lord. And the whole definition, I am a teacher in a school, and the whole definition of yoga is totally lost because even, although I'm a teacher in my own school, I've never been able to come out and tell that yoga is union with Krishna, because the whole world is so much, desiring to be secular, and in the aim to be secular, they forget that the scriptures have actually revealed such a lot of truth, and we Indians should be able to at least, say what yoga really is, but we fail to do that. Even on the World Yoga Day, we only talk about the mind, soul, and being in harmony and being in harmony with nature and the outer, things which the benefits which yoga gives. Of course, that is nice. It's very nice. At least that's the beginning. But that is really far from the real purpose of yoga. The whole purpose of yoga is to experience union with the Lord. Even yoga teachers, they don't say it. They need to get customers. And so if they're not going to be secular, they won't get their customers. So they also won't be able to say that. So in the 6th chapter, we're going to see what is Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga, 8-limbed. Yoga is connection or communion with the Lord. So it's made up of all these processes, which begins with yama, external disciplines, niyama, internal disciplines, asana is a posture or meditation, pranayama, breath control. Most people just think that yoga is asana and pranayama, that's it. Then you have pratyahara. Very important part of Ashtanga Yoga is pratyahara, where you have to withdraw your senses completely. You have to, withdraw your, that's an important part. Then comes dharana, where you have to concentration, dhyana, meditative absorption. And then it leads to samadhi, which is union or integration with the Paramatma. So these are the Ashtangas which are described in the Bhagavad Gita, as also in the Patanjali, the main Yoga Sutras are explained there. We have yamas, niyamas, asanas, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Yama and Niyama are both basically the prohibitive and regulative principles. Yama tells us what all you should not do. Niyama tells us what you should do, or vice versa. I'm not very certain. Asana and pranayama both are for controlling the mind and the body. And the mind as body and breath are closely connected. So they both are controlled. So pratyahara involves less involvement in sense objects basically, and dharana and dhyana, they both require renunciation of family and all activities. That is what actually Ashtanga Yoga is. Yama, it's propounded by, what one should do, and truly when you're doing yama, he should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. Then the next, that is explained in 6.10. Then niyama, which is 6.17, a person should be very temperate in his habits of eating, sleeping, working, and recreation. Everything has to be balanced. That is explained in 6.17 of the Bhagavad Gita. From 11 to 14, there's a great description of asana, which is just not just taking any position. In the true, originally how it is explained is that you need to lay some kusha grass on the ground, cover it with a deer skin, sit. The seat should neither be too high nor too low. You should be situated in a sacred place, which is very clean. You should hold one's body, neck and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose, and thus with an unagitated and subdued mind, which is completely devoid of fear. It has to be devoid of fear because you're doing all this in the forest. That's the only place where you have so much of quiet and loneliness, and completely free from sex life and meditate only on the Lord. That is basically what asana requires one to do, which is 6.11 to 6.14. In 5.29, pranayama had been described, which is stopping the movement of the outgoing breath into the incoming and the incoming breath into the outgoing, and thus remaining at a trance. 6.15, there is pratyahara, which is cessation of all material existence. And then in 6.18, there's dharana is described, which talks about disciplining your mental activities, becoming situated in transcendence, which is devoid of all material desires, and said to have such a person who is devoid of all material desires. That is only when you can say that you have attained yoga. That too only not yet the last stage. The next stage is dhyana. As a lamp in a windless place does not waver at all, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remains always steady in meditation on the transcendental self. So that is dhyana. And then the final one is samadhi, where in 6.20 to 23, Krishna explains that a person who is in samadhi is never shaken. Even if there's the greatest difficulty, he remains unshaken. This is actual freedom from all miseries which arise from material contact. Now, the life lesson we come from understanding the whole Ashtanga Yoga is that to reach this state, one has to really understand that you're not this body. Unless you are able to realize that you're not this body, you're not this mind also, you cannot control your body and mind to such a great degree and achieve success. And by the Lord's grace, you realize from the Bhagavad Gita also that you are not the body or the mind, so you can control them both. If you're able to look at it as an outsider, realizing that you're not them. Yoga redefined is therefore union between the individual consciousness and the supreme consciousness. And what yoga is not, it is actually, but not only breathing exercise. It's not only physical exercise for a healthy body. It's not just going to the Himalayas. It is not doing all these things so that you can get better sense enjoyment. Like people do it so that they can get a better figure and then get a better spouse and then have more sense enjoyment. That is not the purpose of yoga. So in the ladder comes out very clearly. Actually, I've taken all these images from several classes that I've attended. So you'll find from the various ISKCON temples I have put in slides in here. This is Sakama Karma. This is from the ISKCON Chennai class actually. There's Sakam Karma, Nishkam Karma, Dhyana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. These are the steps. So first, the person is doing fruitive activities following the Vedas to get results. That is called the Karma Kanda stage. The second stage is people do their duties in a selfless manner, wanting nothing in return with no desire for fruits. That is called Nishkam Karma Yoga. And then in Dhyana Yoga, one is doing a lot of meditation, followed by Ashtanga Yoga, where you do the whole 8 processes, and then you actually start getting siddhis. And the problem with following this process is that when you reach Ashtanga Yoga, when you reach the higher levels, you get siddhis. And then these siddhis actually distract you because you get wonderstruck by what all your body and mind start getting miraculous powers. So they start feeling the siddhi and then they start using the siddhi to get material, enjoyments basically. And Dhyana Yoga, that is one is meditating and then he realizes he realizes the Paramatma in his heart. When you constantly meditate, the first thing you realize is the God within your heart. And then he feels that, oh, I don't need to worry about anything because I'm able to see the God in my heart. He's there within me. And then he doesn't want to look further at what is Krishna, what is Bhakti. He also gets stuck there. The problem with these two yogas are that there is a tendency to slow down there. And so they will have to take many births in those, when they reach that level also, they can't straight away reach Krishna, which is the ultimate goal of human life, because they get stuck over there. And then they need to take many births to ultimately come to the realization that the ultimate purpose is Bhakti. So Prabhupada is so graceful that he has given us an explanation of the entire scriptures and told us that what Krishna explains as it is in Bhagavad Gita, that the true purpose of the Bhagavad Gita is to realize Krishna and to develop Krishna Bhakti or Prem towards the Lord. That is the ultimate aim. And when you achieve that, you actually achieve everything that you need to achieve from every other yoga. So there's a difference between the ladder and the escalator. That is what the difference is. So you have to choose your goal. If you want to do the karma yoga way, you want to go the ladder way, you want to do your dhyana every day, continue doing that. Whatever you choose your goal as, do that, and that will define your role. So let's look at Ashtanga Yoga from 6.10 to 36, where we come to know that there's a detail. Again, let's look at some more details. One should hold your body straight, head erect. Okay, I think this one we have done. And how you're supposed to not allow your mind to wander at all. And the mind should be unagitated and all that. And Ashtanga Yoga ultimately leads to samadhi, which is darshan of the Lord. So it is a sure thing. It's a process. Srila Prabhupada says that Ashtanga Yoga is a very mechanical, proven, scientific process of meditation where you control your mind and senses very systematically, step by step, by controlling your breath, your posture, and then your senses and everything. And then that concentration will lead you to realize the Paramatma within you. And so it will definitely, there's no worry about it, definitely lead you to samadhi, that is consciousness of the Supreme in your heart. But the thing is that, like I told you a little earlier, they think that they are liberated. It's a misconception. They think that they have become one with the God. They feel that that they have become one with the God, which is not possible. We can't be one with God. After some time, therefore, what happens is they have to fall back to the material world, and then they have to continue, understanding the true meaning of their life, which is to serve the Lord and get bhakti. The Ashtanga Yogi will therefore come to understand Krishna, the person, only after many, many births. So are you willing to give this kind of yoga system a try? That's the question here. It sounds very interesting to some, they would like to, do that maybe. Slowly do the, yoga and do one by one step, asana, dharana, and everything, the whole process they would like to do. Now, if you're doing that, you do collect everything, one by one, you're collecting each part, but then the car is not going to move. They're not going to go to the spiritual world as yet, because you're collected with a lot of effort, the different parts which lead to bhakti. But unless the bhakti comes in, the car is not complete. What do you do with just 4 tires and a steering wheel and some engines? You need the entire part to move towards, the real meaning of life. So before we proceed further, let's see what is Arjuna's reaction. And if you want to know what is Arjuna's reaction, let us try and understand who Arjuna is. Arjuna, as you can see, when he was a little boy, Dronacharya had asked him to shoot the arrow at the eye of the bird. And he did that successfully. No one else could do it. He was the only one who successfully did it. Again, later to marry Draupadi also, he was supposed to shoot the arrow at a moving target, a fish or something like that. I don't remember exactly. But he did that also very successfully. He is a person with great concentration. And staying in the forest and, is nothing for him. He has lived for years because he was sent to exile for so many years because of the Kauravas, selfishness and greed and whatever. So the Pandavas have actually stayed in the forest. In fact, he has gone, he has, on the advice of Krishna, he has gone out and he has surged, he has gone to get special astra so that whenever the war is there, he is equipped to fight the huge Kaurava war. Kaurava, people on the Kaurava side. So he actually has experienced such a lot. He is a great devotee. Arjuna, in spite of that, in spite of being such a great person, he rejects Arjuna, the great, the most capable person, more capable than anyone we can imagine. He rejects this proposal. He says, I cannot do this. He too finds this tough. And Arjuna is humble. He's actually humble to accept that, no, I can't do this, Krishna. Looking at more about who Arjuna actually is, once, there was a hunter. Now, he came across a hunter when he was, in the forest, and when he had gone off away from the other Pandavas, he came across a hunter. And when he shot a boar, at the same time, another hunter shot the boar. And after this follows, there follows a great kind of a battle between the two of them. And Arjuna comes to realize that this is no ordinary person and realizes that this is none other than Lord Shiva himself. And then Shiva blesses him with the Pashupati Astra. So that is how he gets it. And in fact, Arjuna is, we cannot imagine, like I told you before also, we are human beings, we know very limited. We don't know who every birth actually is, Krishna in chapter 4 in the beginning, he says that, we both have had so many past, the past is so many lifetimes we've been there together also, but you don't remember anything. So this is one of the things which Arjuna doesn't remember, but he is actually an expansion of Krishna himself. Krishna or Vishnu. So Krishna or Vishnu, when he came as Narayana, it is his own expansion which came as Nara, just to kill one particular, Rakshasa who had done, a lot of penance. As you know, these Rakshasas or Asuras are people who want to live forever. they cannot accept that this is temporary and they want to live forever. So they try to do, then they know it's not possible. None of the demigods can give them that blessing because they themselves don't have it. So they ultimately try to, create some sort of a system by which they can trick the lords or the gods to make them live forever by, asking for such a boon. So he asked that, for 1,000 years, if somebody, he asked for 1,000 kavachas, and then each, this is an elaborate thing. If one person, if he breaks his one kavacha, then he has to meditate for 1,000 years, and only then he can, come back to fight with him. And that way he basically extended his life. So, what I'm coming to say, and this Asura actually later on is born as Karna, and Nara is born as Arjuna, and Narayana is born as Krishna. So, this is something in the past. I'm just saying this to show you how great a person Arjuna is. Such a great person as Arjuna, such a great pure devotee of expansion to the Lord himself. What does he say? Let's see what he says. Arjuna says, Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramati balavadridham tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkritam. Arjuna says that, what does he say? He says that for the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. We should never think that controlling the mind is easy. The mind is very strong and it's very obstinate. It'll keep on wanting you to go the way it wants to master you. Although it is actually lower than your mind. Your mind is lower than your intelligence and your soul. And Arjuna is saying it's very difficult to control this mind, to subdue it. I think for me, it's more easy to control the wind. It's more difficult than controlling the wind. So Arjuna has the power to even control the wind because he knows a lot of, different things. He can do so much, not like us. We can't control the wind also. And he can control the wind, but still he can't control his mind. So the Lord tells him, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, he says, definitely, Asamshayam Mahabaho, oh great mighty armed Arjuna, I understand. It's no doubt. Mano durnigram charam. It's very difficult to control the mind. Abhyasena. In Hindi also we say abhyas. Abhyasena tu kaunteya. But with practice. Abhyas means practice. Vairagyena cha grihyate. If you also have detachment, vairagya. If you develop vairagya and you practice regularly, then grihyate, you can get it. You can achieve it. So what is this mind? Mind is very powerful, of course. But the mind can be made into a friend or an enemy based on how you are looking at it. If you know how a lion is trained, so as soon as the people, the people who keep the lions in the zoo, when they capture him, how they treat the lion is that they first keep him hungry for many, many days. It's actually torture. They keep him hungry for many, many days. Then they will give him a piece of meat or something. And when the lion is going to approach it, they will beat him up or, they do all sorts of things. And then at last, the lion understands that I have to listen to whatever this person says. Otherwise, I will not get my piece of meat. Now, the mind is like that. It needs to be conquered a little sternly. Otherwise, the mind is going to just play with you and make you go behind all your senses and never allow you to realize that you are actually superior, that you are the soul, superior to your intelligence, is superior to your mind, is superior to your senses, superior to sense objects. This realization will not come unless you're stern with your own mind and you make it, in your control. Otherwise, the mind will just be like a monkey. It will jump and make you jump around with him. So for him who has conquered the mind is a best friend. But if you fail to do so, then the mind will lead you to do the worst of things and then it will be your greatest enemy. So once more, we're just looking at this verse. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who fails to conquer his mind, the mind is the greatest of enemies. How is the mind? It's like this big forest fire. It's like, it's like all these, fire basically. Mind is like a fire. When controlled, miracles can happen. You control the power of the fire, you can have it, maybe shoot out into the space or whatever. When out of control, it can burn down everything in sight. So mind can make us physically sick also. The mind, if you don't control it, can even make you physically sick. All this BP, diabetes, ulcer, Alzheimer's disease, disorder, and everything is all because they're all, they call it psychosomatic diseases, I think so. Basically, it's all created because of the mind having a lot of stress, and the soul or the intelligence not realizing that this mind is actually in my control. So without that realization, it gets carried away, and it doesn't realize it can cure majority of the diseases known to the mind, can actually even cure many diseases because of the placebo effect, which is known to mankind. It's been proven also scientifically. Then Arjuna asks, okay, fine. Okay, I understand that we need to, control the mind and all that, and we need to control our senses, and it's all sounding so difficult. But so what will happen? Arjuna is curious, obviously. He says, okay, fine, we will try. We'll try to do abhyas, and we will try to get detachment, both of which are also tough to do. But what happens if, somebody's trying hard, giving up everything material, and then he's trying the spiritual part. Spiritual also, he's not succeeding. And then he's in between. No success in the material world, no success in spiritual world also. Now what to do? So Krishna will answer, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, on the planets of the pious living entities, such a person who has not achieved, the final destination, he gets born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. Why rich aristocracy? Because when he gets born into a family of rich aristocracy, he doesn't have to bother too much about filling his stomach or his bodily needs or all that, because all that is taken care of. He's born in a rich family. And then he can spend all his time in continuing his spiritual growth. But of course, there are many who will be born in rich families and then they get carried away because, wealth is like that. Material success is like that. It sometimes will make you carried away, and you will just ruin your life. But that is again because the wrong choice is made. Krishna gives everybody a choice. He never forces anybody to do anything. So the choice is misused. But generally what happens is the spiritual, the spiritual desire which you carry in one birth gets carried. It's like, I think I've said this before. If a person is a doctor in one birth, in the next birth, when he cannot say that, okay, last birth I was a doctor, so now in the next birth, as soon as he's born, he say, okay, now I'm a doctor, I remember everything, I can cure you. He has to start learning from A, B, C, D. He has to start learning words, go to grade, finish from 1, 2, 3, 4, up to grade 10 plus 2, give the entrances, do the medical college again. But spiritual knowledge, which is transcendental knowledge related to the soul, which happens because of the clarification of the soul, the contamination which is covering the soul is being removed, that doesn't change. In your next birth, you are in the same level as you achieved in your previous birth, and so you continue from where you had begun. So that is the reason why the birth also happens automatically into a righteous family, a family where people are already transcendently high, or into a family of rich aristocracy. And even if somebody who has practiced for longer and reached a higher level in spiritual growth, he is closer to reaching, the final destination of spiritual world, where he's free, his soul is free, not only from the gross body and the subtle body, he's free from both the gross and subtle bodies, and he gets liberated. Such a person who has not reached that final liberation but is quite close, he takes birth in a family of transcendentalists, that means spiritual people who already have great wisdom. So in his childhood itself, he is in an environment which supports his spirituality. So only those people who are highly spiritual get born. Of course, in everywhere you'll find exceptions, but as I said, we never know the reasons for all these. It does happen that sometimes the families have got all spiritual people in the family, but one child is born who is, totally an atheist or, whatever. So it does happen, but such a birth generally to get into a family which is full of transcendentalists, and you begin from your highly spiritually elevated position straight away when you're the small child itself. Like Prahlad Maharaj, right? Prahlad, when he was in the soul, just in the womb of his mother itself, he got to hear Narada, and the soul inside, the little infant inside the stomach of his mother could understand everything, because the soul is not like the body, the soul is different. The soul in the spiritual knowledge, how far it has reached, It can just continue from there. It doesn't matter. The age doesn't matter. Even from the womb, it can begin. It can continue the journey. So what has Krishna explained? He explained the fate of the two kinds of unsuccessful yogis. One who falls down after short yoga practice, maybe born in a family of righteous or rich people, aristocratic family, or one who falls down after long yoga practice, he will be born in a family of transcendentalists. That is especially those of acharyas or Goswamis. Srila Prabhupada comments that a child born in such families receive a spiritual impetus from the very beginning of his life. And Lord Krishna explains that a yogi born in such blessed families revives his divine consciousness of his previous lives, and he tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success. Now let's come to the next part of this chapter. Who is the greatest yogi? So Krishna explains, of course, as like I told you, many of you must be knowing the answer. It's Bhakti Yogi. A person who is pursuing Bhakti is the highest yogi, not the Karma Yogi, Dhyana Yogi, Ashtanga Yogi. This ladder is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. A person who is spiritually inquisitive starts in the most basic type initially, which is Karma Yoga. As per his ability, he works. He plucks flowers, he cleans the temple, he makes donations, etc., etc. And while he's practicing this kind of a yoga, he will meet jnanis. He will get involved in culmination of his jnana and jnana yogi, and he gradually understands that he is not this body, that Paramatma resides in his heart. And then what happens is he wishes to realize that Paramatma is the heart. And for the realization, he moves to forest. He starts observing Ashtanga Yoga, and as mentioned in this chapter, he ultimately achieves samadhi. Then, when he is in samadhi for a long time, actually the true destination, many of them do achieve just through Ashtanga Yoga, is that they realize that the purpose is to surrender to Krishna, and then they become bhaktas and they involve in the highest yoga practice, which is bhakti. So this is what is explained in this chapter. Bhakti Yoga is also called Buddhi Yoga. Why? Because actually smartest of the yoga, since it doesn't require you to go through all the steps, and it has already the merits of all the other yogas, and while having the limits of none. None of the others, which have so many limitations, that the Bhakti Yoga doesn't have. So we're coming to the last verse. We have skipped some verses because like it was not possible to do everything in an hour. In 6.47, which is Yoginamapi sarvesham madgatenantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yo mam same yuktatamo mataha. And of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith 24/7, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all, and that is Bhakti Yoga. So you can see here the gopis are considered to be the highest in Bhakti. They are least bothered about anything. What is society going to say? I am married. I am with my husband. I'm a mature adolescent. I am with my my family. What is my family going to say? What is society? Nothing. They are just not bothered. They know that Krishna is the Lord, and that their duty, the soul's duty, is to surrender. So they go there, and there's nothing lusty. People who think that they're going there to have some material gratification of their senses, they just don't know that these gopis were actually highly elevated rishis in the previous birth. When the Lord came as Rama, they were already great devotees, so they recognized Lord Ram as the Lord of the universe, and they wanted to get to have in the material world a relationship with Ram, and they requested him that they wanted to have a relationship of of a male and female with the Lord, but Lord Ram is is in what is that this called? He's perfect person who will have only one wife. I forget the terms over there. He had promised to have only one wife in that birth, and so he says, "Don't worry. When I come as Krishna later, then you will all be coming again, and that time I'll be able to give you what you're asking for." And that is how Krishna actually, has all these gopis, and he has all those 16,008 wives or something. I don't remember the exact numbers. So yes, so Krishna's relationship with them is very transcendental, which ordinary people cannot understand. They are the highest yogis who are, just being there and enjoying the presence of the Lord right beside them. Gopis and Gopas also. So you can see how, in Vrindavan, the Gopas had so much of fun. They would just look at Krishna. It's like that early morning when the sun rises, they would go running to Krishna's house and they would wait for Krishna to get up for Mother Yashoda to say, Jago Mohan Pyare. He would wake Krishna, Mother Yashoda would wake, see your friends are waiting for you, get up. And they would be waiting to see Krishna. They would watch Krishna being decorated by Mother Yashoda. And they were, enjoying extremely highly elevated transcendental bliss. And then they would run and play with him all the time. They would be looking at Krishna. Krishna would be eating, and then, Krishna would give every one of them the feeling that Krishna is looking at them. Each one would feel that Krishna is here only looking at me. That is the power, because he's the Lord of the universe. He can do anything. And so that is the feeling he gave to all the Gopas over there. And then in the evening, when they would go back home, again, the whole night, they would be, dreaming about Krishna, thinking, oh, tomorrow morning, when are we going to meet Krishna again? So that is the kind of, 24 hours of love that they felt of highest level towards Krishna. Thinking of Krishna like night and day. Oh, they are highly elevated devotees. So with that, we come to the end of this chapter. We have understood what is yoga. It's a spiritual practice. There are different yoga practices for different yugas, which I have already stated earlier also. Here this is from Srimad Bhagavatam 12.3.52. It says, Krite yad dhyayato vishnum tretayam yajato makhe dwapare paricharyayam kalau tad dhari kirtana. So you can make out, this is Sanskrit, little bit you can understand that it's talking about different yugas like Kalau Tad in the Kali Yuga, Kirtana. Kirtan is what is the way to achieve Krishna. Satya Yoga, it's meditation on Lord Vishnu. Treta Yuga, you have to perform expensive sacrifices. In the Dwapar Yuga, it was elaborate temple worship. Kali Yuga, which is in the present age, it is Kirtan, chanting the holy names of the Lord. So you can choose your goal. Do you want to go by the lift straight to Bhakti Yoga? Do you want to take the staircase? Doing all those steps till you reach Ashtanga Yoga and then Bhakti, you can choose. What is mantra? What is Kirtan? Kirtan is repeatedly saying a mantra. Man plus tra. Man is mind. Tra is deliver. You deliver your mind. And the japa, which is given to us in many scriptures, it's not one or two, is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I would request each one of you to try at least, begin with 10 rounds of this every day and gradually increase it to 108. And then if you can get this japamala, it will be nice, because then when you finish one round, you will finish, 108. One round in this mala, you have to say, in one bead, you must say the entire mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Then you go to the next bead. And you don't touch it with the index finger. Basically, the index finger represents the mind. And so you have to keep your mind away from this. Let the mind do it any nonsense. It's a monkey mind. It will run and let it do anything. You keep bringing your attention back to the mantra that you're saying. So that is the target. And when you reach one full circle, if you want to continue the second round, so you've done the whole circle and you've reached here, then instead of jumping and going to the next bead, when this is the top bead, this is called the Krishna bead. You have to say the Panchtattva mantra on this first bead. And then when you reach one full circle, you should turn around and go back, and continue your second round. So Prabhupada has asked us to do 16 rounds simply because the number of, malas will become 16 is approximately the number of breaths in the day. So in 24 hours, for each breath, one mantra. And so he says that when we do that, it's almost as if we are going to be remembering Krishna we are doing it, to remember Krishna for the whole 24 hours. This has got a lot of scriptural references about chanting of the holy names. Narayana Samhita has a reference. It says in the age of Kali, people should simply chant the holy names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Kali Santarana Upanishad, It says Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Iti Shodashakam Nam Nam Kali Kalmasha Nashanam. It is the only one which can destroy the Kali. Natah Paratarupaya Sarva Vedesha Drishyate. All the Vedas are saying there is nothing greater than that. After searching through all the Vedic literature, one can find a method of religion one cannot find a method of religion more sublime for this age than the chanting of the Hare Krishna. So there is also, of course, in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Eva Kevalam Kalonasi, Evanasi, Evanasya, Eva Gatir Anyatha. There is, in this age of Kali, of quarrel and hypocrisy, Kali. Kali means quarrel and hypocrisy. There is only one way of deliverance. It's chanting of the holy name. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. You cannot control your mind unless you chant. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also, 12.3.51, there is Kale Dona Nidhi Rajarajan Ashtihi Eko Mahan Gehu Kirtanad Eva Krishnasya Mukta Shaivu Paravrijit. My dear king, although Kali Yuga is full of faults, there's still one good quality about this age. It is simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra that one can become free from the material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. So we who have never read the Bhagavatam also, we are coming to know that the 12th canto, Bhagavatam has only 12 canto, 12th canto, this is given. So we are learning because of the blessings of Srila Prabhupada. The Bhagavad Gita, of course, when we reach chapter 10, we will see Krishna says, Yagnai Japa Yagnosmi. I am the chanting of the holy name among all sacrifices, among all yagyas. What am I? Krishna says everything he says I am the best. So we come to that basic japa is the best form of yagya. How should you chant? Dues for chanting is you chant usually the Panch Tattva mantra because you need to take the blessings of the Guru. Otherwise, you will tend to get distracted. You seek their blessings. And even if I do offensive chanting, please forgive me. So before chanting, you say the Panch Tattva mantra, which is Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. This is called a Panch Tattva mantra. And you should chant audibly. You should be able to hear your own mantra. The dues for chanting also means that you should pronounce each name very carefully. You should chant with respect, devotion, and concentration. Here you can see that somebody is showing it. One of the Prabhujis is showing how to chant. You can chant actually any place, sitting, walking, facing any direction. If you're not well, even lying down. But preferably you should sit. You can chant at any time. It is recommended to chant in Brahma Muhurta, but you can chant at any time. You can chant even before bath or after taking a bath. It's recommended to chant by keeping a count, preferably on a Tulsi Mala, but you can also do your counts on your fingers. Many people count on the fingers, no problem with that. There's also a mechanical counter which they just put into their, fingers, and then they can press a button every time they chant. So that's also possible. Anything. It's just a matter of keeping counts. And the don'ts for chanting is you should not chant only a part of the Mahamantra. Try to chant it fully because that's given to us by the Guru. We should chant it with respect fully. You should not chant on the Krishna beat. Like I showed you the Krishna beat, you don't chant the Hare Krishna on the Krishna beat. The Krishna beat is the one which has got this, which has got this extra thread. It is meant only to chant the Panch Tattva mantra. And you should not chant while you're reading a book. Some people, once they take a promise, I will chant 108 every day or 16 hours. They will be reading the Bhagavad, they will be watching TV, or they will be talking, or they will check their WhatsApp and they're chanting. Doesn't make sense at all. Krishna, the power of the name is so much that Krishna actually lives in that, in that name. And Krishna, moment you call out the word Krishna, he's there in front of you, and then you say, you wait there, Krishna, I want to see my WhatsApp message, or, I'm more interested in the match going on. It's very disrespectful. It's called offensive chanting. What are the benefits of chanting? The benefits of chanting is, it's amazing to even think of the benefits. The worst of sins that you can ever do in many, many lives gets washed off simply by chanting. The Bhagavatam gives very scary, descriptions of all the different things that, are the consequences of different sinful things. I've even dread to say these things. As you can see in these pictures, the depictions you can see, people who take to alcohol or who doing, what are the kind who do illicit sex and all these things. What are their consequences? What is the kind of hell that they have to undergo? They don't know. They don't know that, they have to bear the consequences. They think that this is the last life and let's have fun, right? But they don't know about the reactions. And when you're doing, it even helps you to get free from all the unwanted drives and habits. In the present age, we are slaves of whimsical thoughts and desires. It frees you. When you chant, you become free from all anxiety and stress, and you get peace of mind and you get real happiness. Above all, you get enlightenment. And how will you keep remembering the Lord while chanting? You think of his name, his form, his paraphernalia. You can even concentrate on just the peacock feather, or you can concentrate on his flute. You can concentrate on his leelas, on the different pastimes of the Lord. And with that, we come to the end of chapter 6. We have seen about how one advances in Ashtanga Yoga, Sama Buddhir, Vishishyate. And then we come to the stages of the Ashtanga Yoga practice, Rahasi Sthita. And then we come about how to control the mind, Abhyasena tu Kauntaya, with practice. And Vairagya, you can control the mind. Destination of an unsuccessful yogi, we have seen that, and we've seen that Bhakti Yoga is the topmost yoga. So with that, we come to the end of today's class of chapter 6. I hope the few of you who have joined have gained something from my efforts to talk about chapter 6. If you have any doubts, you may please raise your hand or ask me. Let me finish the closing prayer. Vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, everyone. Anyone would like to ask a doubt or share something? Today, Preeti Mataji is not there. Many are not there who have been there till yesterday. Maybe because of Sunday or the festival day. Anybody would like to ask a question or would like to say something or contribute or share realization or reflection? Okay. If nobody's there, there is no question or doubt, then I don't know. Either the class is very clear and you got everything clearly. Is there a way we can review the videos? Yes, Mansi Danke Mataji. I will share the videos. I will just be putting it into my YouTube channel, and then I will share the link. I'll ask Mataji to share the link in the group. Radhe Radhe. While I understand what you have explained rules of chanting, I encourage my children to have Hari Naam on lips whenever, whatever, wherever. Yes, Mataji. Prabhuji, you can always ask them to chant the name of Hari. It's good to teach them the entire Hare Krishna Mahamantra with the 16 words. It's good. Wouldn't it be good that one thing that doesn't have rules is chanting Kanha's name? Yes, definitely. Just saying Krishna is enough. When Draupadi's Cheer Haran was happening, the sari was being pulled, she only said Govinda. She did not say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Ram. She simply said Govinda. She knew that is Krishna's, the name that he loves to be called by. She just says Govinda, but there's so much of emotion and she put in everything into that one word that Krishna, he actually says later that I'm indebted. I don't know how I will pay the debt I have to Draupadi for having called out to me with so much of emotion. I can never repay. Giving that sari was nothing. The way she called out to me, I don't know how I can ever repay her. So, just calling out the name of Krishna once with all the love and emotion is enough. You don't need to say everything. But we in this material world, in this Kali Yuga, so polluted, so contaminated, that for us, the rule is chant 16 rounds. At least begin with one round. Yeah. Thank you so much. I can't see any further questions. We can take more questions tomorrow. Radhe Radhe. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share my learnings from chapter 6. Hare Krishna.